If she says these 5 words, her feelings may already be changing, and most men miss it, not because they're naive, but because the shift doesn't sound dramatic. It sounds normal, it sounds casual, it sounds harmless. But emotional distance rarely begins with a fight. It begins with language. Subtle language, repeated language, emotionally coded language. Today, we're going to break down 5 specific words women often use when their emotional investment is shifting. This is not about fear. This is about awareness. Because once you understand patterns, you stop chasing clarity and you start seeing it. Let's begin. The first word is busy. Now pay attention. Everyone gets busy. Work exists. Family exists. Life happens. But the psychological shift happens when busy becomes selective, when she's busy for you, but available for others, when replies slow down, when plans become harder to schedule, when enthusiasm turns into we'll see. When someone is emotionally invested, they don't create distance. They create access. They look for time. They protect time. They prioritize connection, but when emotional attachment begins to cool, availability becomes strategic. Busy becomes a buffer, a socially acceptable way to lower emotional exposure without confrontation. You won't hear, "I don't feel the same intensity anymore." You'll hear, "This week is just crazy," over and over, and the key indicator isn't how often she says it, it's whether she compensates. If someone truly values you, they reschedule, they suggest alternatives, they initiate later. If the effort disappears with the word busy, the emotional investment is decreasing. The second word is space. Now this one feels more obvious, but most men misunderstand what it really means. Space is rarely about physical distance. It's about emotional recalibration. When a woman asks for space, she is usually trying to feel something again. Excitement, certainty, clarity, desire. And here's what matters. If she frames space as temporary but offers no plan to reconnect, that's not space. That's transition. Emotionally attached partners seek closeness under stress. Emotionally detaching partners seek separation under stress. That difference tells you everything. The third word is friend. This one is subtle. You might hear, "You're such a good friend. I feel safe talking to you. I appreciate you so much." And that sounds positive, but attraction has polarity. Desire has tension. If admiration replaces flirtation, the energy is shifting. When romantic language fades and appreciation language increases, emotional positioning is changing. You're being moved from emotional spark to emotional safety, and safety without desire becomes platonic. Now understand this clearly. Safety is powerful, but safety without mystery, without masculine presence, without edge, becomes comfort. And comfort is not the same as passion. The fourth word is stress. Stress is real. Life pressure affects relationships. But here's the psychological layer. When someone is emotionally connected, they invite you into their stress. When they're detaching, they use stress to create distance. You'll hear, "I just have a lot going on. I'm overwhelmed. I can't really focus on us right now." Stress becomes a shield, a reason to lower investment without saying it directly. The question isn't whether she's stressed. The question is whether she still leans towards you emotionally, or away from you. Connection under pressure builds intimacy. Distance under pressure signals withdrawal. The fifth word is change. This one is powerful. I feel like I'm changing. I don't know what I want anymore. I need to figure myself out. When someone says this repeatedly, they're not just describing growth, they're describing identity shift. And relationships are built on shared identity, shared direction, shared emotional alignment. When identity shifts, attachment shifts. Now here's the deeper truth. Women rarely detach suddenly. They detach gradually, emotionally first, then physically, then verbally. By the time a breakup conversation happens, the emotional decision was often made weeks earlier. That's why language matters. Language reveals emotional timing, and here's where most men make the mistake. They panic, they chase, they over-explain, they try to fix. But chasing someone who is emotionally withdrawing accelerates detachment, because attraction requires emotional autonomy. The more you pursue reassurance, the more you communicate insecurity, and insecurity reduces polarity. Instead, the correct move is observation. Calm observation. You don't confront immediately, you don't accuse. You adjust your energy. You become slightly less available. You match investment. You stop overgiving. You lean back. Not as a game, but as emotional alignment. Healthy relationships require mutual effort. If effort becomes one-sided, awareness is your responsibility. Now let's go deeper. Why does this shift happen? Emotional attraction operates in cycles. Novelty creates dopamine. Security creates oxytocin. But long-term desire requires continued polarity, mystery, growth, self-direction. If a man becomes predictable, overly accommodating, or emotionally dependent, the attraction dynamic shifts, and she won't say, "I'm less attracted." She'll say, "I'm busy. I need space. I'm stressed," because those phrases feel safer. No villain, no confrontation, just gradual drift. So what do? First, stabilize yourself. If you sense emotional distance, do not react from fear. Fear amplifies loss. Calm amplifies strength. Second, reintroduce polarity. Improve yourself. Reinvest in your body, your mission, your independence. Desire grows where there is movement. Third, stop over-talking the problem. Attraction isn't rebuilt through analysis. It's rebuilt through presence, confidence, and emotional steadiness. Here's something most men don't realize. When a woman starts pulling away, she is subconsciously evaluating, is this man stable? Is he grounded? Or will he crumble under uncertainty? If you respond to her distance with panic, she receives confirmation. If you respond with calm strength, you interrupt the withdrawal. Now, this doesn't mean every situation is reversible. Sometimes detachment is final, but even then, your response determines your dignity. You never beg for attention. You never negotiate for affection. You observe. You adjust. You maintain composure, because composure is attractive, and self-respect is magnetic. Let me say something important. This video is not about controlling someone. It's about recognizing emotional patterns early. Healthy relationships thrive on awareness, not denial. If you hear these 5 words occasionally, don't panic. Patterns matter more than moments. But if the frequency increases, if enthusiasm decreases, if effort becomes one-sided, the emotional current is shifting. And pretending not to see it only delays clarity. Relationships are not sustained by intensity alone. They're sustained by mutual investment, and mutual investment is visible in effort, in time, in energy, in desire. When those begin to fade, language reveals it first. So listen carefully, not with anxiety, but with awareness. If this helped you see something clearly, reflect before reacting. Strength is quiet, stability is powerful, and emotional intelligence always wins over emotional impulse. This is Prismology, and clarity changes everything.